The air was thick with smoke and ash, the ruins of a once thriving city crumbling into silence. Fires flickered in the distance, casting long shadows over the broken streets. Among the wreckage, a creature lay curled, her bioluminescent fur dim and streaked with dirt. She was a Taur'kan, a species once respected, now hunted like vermin. Her ribs jutted out beneath her thin skin, her body weakened from days without food. But she did not care for herself. It was her children she feared for. They were small, frail things, huddled close against her for warmth. Their tiny bodies shivered, their breaths shallow. She nosed them gently, desperate to rouse them, but only two moved. The third, her smallest, lay still. A low whimper escaped her throat, a sound of pure sorrow. Nearby, figures passed through the ruins. Taller aliens, armored and well-fed, stepped over the bodies of the weak as though they were nothing more than debris. She lifted her head, eyes pleading, but none stopped. None even looked her way. She nudged the smallest pup again, but it did not stir. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. A sickly wheeze rattled from its tiny chest, then stopped. A broken sound tore from her throat, a howl of grief so raw that even the wind seemed to pause. Still no one came. No one helped. She curled around her remaining children, shielding them with what little strength she had left. Her stomach ached with hunger, her body trembling from exhaustion. But the true pain, the unbearable weight pressing down on her, was the knowledge that she could do nothing. Her kind had once roamed this world freely, but those days were gone. The stronger species had risen, and the Taur'kan had been left behind, deemed unworthy of survival. Even now, the scent of death clung to the air, a cruel reminder of their fate. As the night deepened, she lowered her head and closed her eyes. Maybe, when the sun rose again, there would be no more suffering. Maybe, for the first time in too long, there would be peace. And then footsteps. Different this time. Heavier. Slower. A new scent. Strange, unfamiliar. It did not carry the cold sterility of the ruling species, nor the sharp metallic tang of their weapons. It was something else. Something foreign. A voice, low and steady, broke through the silence. Damn. She lifted her head, weakly baring her fangs. Her fur bristled, though there was no strength behind the display. The figure knelt. A gloved hand reached forward, offering something. Warm. Scented with something rich, something nourishing. Food. Her body screamed at her to take it. But she did not trust. Could not trust. The hand did not retreat. The figure remained still, waiting. For the first time in a long time, someone had stopped. The air had changed. The moment the footsteps drew closer, the human's stance shifted. He was no longer just a traveler offering aid. He was something else now. Something ready. She kept low, ears flattening against her skull. The scent of the approaching creatures filled her nose, familiar and unwelcome. The enforcers of this ruined world. They did not come to help. They never did. When they emerged from the shadows, they moved with the confidence of those who had never been challenged. Their armor gleamed, their weapons at their sides but not yet raised. A silent show of power. Their leader, a broad-shouldered figure with the sharp, angular features of his kind, looked at the human, then at her. "You waste your time," he said, voice laced with amusement. "That thing is nothing. The pups even less." The human didn't react. He simply stood there, the small, struggling creature still cradled in his arm. The enforcer's gaze flicked to it. His mouth twisted into something close to a sneer. "Drop it," he said. Silence. A pause. Then, the human tilted his head slightly. Not in confusion. In something sharper. Something colder. "No." The amusement vanished. "This is not your concern, off-worlder," the enforcer said, stepping closer. "These creatures are marked for disposal. You will leave them. Now." The human didn't move. His grip on the pup didn't tighten, didn't shift. He simply remained, like a stone against the wind. "Last chance," the enforcer warned. "Walk away." Still, the human did not move. The air grew heavier. Other aliens watched from the shadows, waiting to see what the human would do. Some looked curious. Others simply expected him to fall in line, to do as so many before him had done. But humans were not like the others. The enforcer's patience snapped. His hand went to his weapon. The moment it moved, the human acted. A flash of movement, quick, precise. The shot rang out before the enforcer even had time to aim. One clean strike. The enforcer hit the ground. Everything stopped. The others hesitated, eyes flicking between their fallen leader and the human who had not even bothered to step back. His weapon remained raised, his expression unreadable beneath the visor. A message. One of the soldiers shifted, as if about to retaliate, then stopped. They had not expected this. No one ever fought for creatures like her. Not against them. The tension held, crackling in the air like a storm on the verge of breaking. Then, without a word, the remaining soldiers turned and left. Not out of mercy, but because they suddenly realized something they had never considered before. There were many species in the galaxy, but only humans were willing to die for something weaker than themselves.